That's how you sanitize, right? Oh, that actually smells kind of nice.
That's what we're using for shaving.
Should we practice not touching our faces in this one, since the last one we were like all over our faces?
You should have seen my editing. I was like, yeah, I was gonna do it. Face counting counter.
Should we social distance in the video and sit 6 feet apart?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another video.
Hey.
We are on day 658 of the quarantine, self-isolating, and social distancing. I put my pants on too. Hey, what's up guys? What's up? I'm Cullen, this is my wife Katie, and
Hey.
we're wearing our merch. This is my podcast, and you got your merch for your channel.
If you're sitting at home, need something cute to wear, get you one of our shirts. We got several out there.
So, we're, bed's a mess.
We decided not to make the bed up today.
To lay on.
Well, lay
I'm
on it.
tired.
It was helping my ankles.
Oh.
But no, it's fine, it's fine. My ankles are not as important as your arms. I'll put a towel under my ankle. Anybody else, when you sit crisscross applesauce, your ankles just dig into the floor? You're a little low.
This is about what I feel like right now when we started this video.
But that's okay, because I have a lot of things I want to say in this, and I know I always have a lot of things I want to say, and I feel bad sometimes because I talk too much in life, but you know, some people like to continue to remind me that I talk too much, but that's okay.
Well, I have to hear it in the editing too, so I hear
know.
you talk twice as much as you think you talk.
I'm sorry. I just have some feelings and emotions and some things that have just been like super duper heavy on my heart and my mind and my emotions lately. And I'm not just talking about being stuck at home with him. I'm just kidding. I love you, it's the kids. No, I love them too. It's none of it. It's just, anyways, I have some things that I've been thinking about, and I think I wanted to talk about them today. So should I just jump right into it, or did we have something else we wanted to say first? I hope everybody is doing okay. I hope y'all are staying the F home, because it's really important. I think we kind of joke around about some of this stuff, but it is genuinely incredibly important. And I don't think any of us, unless you are actually working in the medical field right now, realize how important and what a big deal it is.
I did have to get out to go get more toilet paper, and they did have more toilet paper. And I can say that clearing your throat in public has 10 times the meaning now. I literally was standing in line and I was like, and I was literally just clearing my throat, and it looked like everybody was like, I was like, whoa.
People started spraying you with Lysol.
Yeah, no, but it was interesting because like we walking down the aisle, there were so many gloves, so many masks, but everybody would kind of veer off and then get back into
get close to each other.
It was weird.
Yes, well, and I think it's so easy to like step outside your door or go drive down the street and you see cars driving and you don't know that person may just be taking a drive, they may not be going anywhere, but to think like, you know what, like the world is still here, the trees are blooming, it's about to be spring, the world is continuing, like we shouldn't be freaking out, but we should. I mean, we shouldn't be panicking, but we should all be safe, basically. Just stay home and you won't have to worry about anything. Don't go out, just don't go out. Okay, however, on that note, as we're staying home, I saw an article pop up last night, and there's been several little things along the past couple weeks that have really just gotten into my head, and then seeing this article, I was like, holy crap. Basically, the article was talking about how this is such a serious medical issue, and like staying at home is the safest place, but for some people, staying at home is actually an unsafe and scary place. There's a lot of situations with domestic violence or child abuse or emotional abuse or emotional abandonment or whatever. And stress and hard time being together more often, being in a situation where you don't know where your income's coming from, where you don't know if you lost your job or you kept your job, all of that significantly increases stress, irritability, anger, like all the emotions. And when there's not a safe place to express those emotions for especially some like children who usually have their escape at school and they spend the majority of their day at school, it can be like really tragic. I mean,
yeah. To touch on that, like imagine having a dad or a family member with a addiction problem or something, and I saw you sent me that post about Rachel Hollis about like, feel like you need a drink today, because it feels like we're on spring break, summer vacation. You don't know what day it is, and at the end of the day you're like, is it 5 o'clock yet? But like if you had that family member that was doing that stuff all day already, but now it's all day, every day. It's just so dangerous.
It really is. And I think, like, I don't know, I think some of it is hard because it's hard to imagine that, like, oh, well, it's not that bad or whatever. And we all kind of joke about, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna kill these people if I have to live with them in this house any longer. And we kind of joke about stuff like that because I would imagine there's a good bit of us that are in a typical, like, you can say those things jokingly and not mean them. But there are people that are living in situations that aren't typical. They're living with people who are not, like, completely mentally stable. And I don't just mean like people who are like totally crazy. I mean like literally your average mom or dad who is on the edge of like depression and survives only because their kids go to school every day or because they get out and go to work every day or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden you're forced to, okay, everybody has to homeschool their kids and you need to be teaching your kids this and that and that, and here's all the stuff you need to do, and you need to make sure that they're reading for this long every day, and they have to do these worksheets or they're not going to graduate on time. And there's this pressure all of a sudden for this person who maybe, you know, worked at, like, I don't even know what's an example of where people work. Like somebody who works as the lady at the cash register in the post office. I don't know, I just picked an example. And now all of a sudden she's a teacher to her own kids when there's already conflict between parent and child or parent and spouse. And then you've got two spouses who don't get along anyway. And then now they're fighting over everything and trying to teach the kids. And then the kids are anxious and stressed out and freaking out because, like, oh my gosh, I can't see my friends, and those are the only people that were ever nice to me, and my teachers were nice to me. And I got lunch there, and I knew for sure there was going to be food. I knew for sure there was going to be stability and routine, and parents feeling the pressure to do everything, and that if you don't get it perfect, then the world is going to end. So many bigger things to worry about right now as far as like the medical and anxiety and physical health side of all of this. It's a lot. And I think I've seen so many, I guess with last week being the first week of this whole thing, I saw so many people with the little schedules going around where it was like, here's what we're doing throughout the day. You know, okay, we're starting fresh tomorrow with this new schedule, and at 9 o'clock we're doing this, at 10 o'clock. And that's great. And I think having a schedule is really good.
And I think it did kind of set us up to have a different mindset in the beginning. I mean,
right.
We're not willy-nilly about it right now either, but like, don't start off with screen time in the morning. And we even kind of said, I think in the last video, at 11 o'clock is kind of like, watch some educational stuff for a little while. We can do some work. And
I think the way the world works these days too, with so much like shaming on social media of somebody who isn't following the schedule, or somebody who posts it and then feels like this major obligation that, like, crap, I posted online that I was gonna make sure my kids had a snack at 10 and it's 11 and they haven't had a snack. What are we gonna do? I failed. Like, it's all over. And I've seen parents posting about how, you know, after the first couple of days, we spent the entire day doing schoolwork, and I yelled and screamed at my kids more today than I ever have. And I was just like, no, please don't do that. Like, I'm not saying I haven't yelled at my kids, and I'm not saying I personally have not been like frustrated beyond belief at some times.
And I've thought many times, like, can we just call a babysitter today?
Yes.
But you can't.
This is not something anybody has ever experienced before. And suddenly it's like, oh, we're all supposed to homeschool, like the parents who have been homeschooling their kids for years and have taken years to develop an appropriate routine, something that works for them. So we're gonna go by the example of the schedule that they have, and if we can't do it, then we're failures and we suck and we're not good parents. And how come Susie down the street can do this homeschool schedule and obviously I'm terrible? Like, what's wrong with my kids? And that is just way too much pressure.
And my kids are gonna get behind in school, and they're not as smart.
It's gonna ruin their whole 5th grade year or their whatever year. But I think it's just incredibly important to realize right now that our kids are freaking out inside too. Maybe not as much and for the same reasons we are, but they're anxious. This is crazy to them. I mean, you think that your schedule is inconvenienced because they're home. Their schedule is like completely flipped around.
Our 3-year-old this morning got his clothes on by himself before he even came downstairs, and then asked if he could have TV time, and our rule in the house, just because anytime you start with screen time in the morning, it's just like into
It doesn't work for
the
us.
mood is just like negative Nancy the rest of the day. We said nobody, and then you even said it's a school day, and he said, but mommy, we don't go to school. There's a virus now. And I'm like, the 3-year-old knows like this terminology about this.
Well, and you said you got dressed, you're ready to go. And he said, but Daddy, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, 3-year-old is having to try to comprehend all this stress and all the different routine.
And think about how much time you've spent, speaking for myself, scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through articles, scrolling through news reports, trying to understand it. And we see some good reports and some bad reports. And we personally, or I personally, I know, I don't think we've done it much, but have tried not to talk in front of the kids about, oh my gosh, did you hear like 3 more people died today from this? Because then that's what the kids hear. Then they don't have the access to scrolling through and reading the positive stories or the encouraging words or the, you know, the positivity people that, I'm touching my face, I know. So all they hear is the negative, and they don't have a way to process that. They don't have, like we do, our friends that we're talking to and processing this with. You know, we have like family group texts going and like friends and whatever else. They don't have those resources. They literally have us. And if we can't stay calm and take the pressure off of them, that they're the ones inconveniencing our life, it is not their fault that they're home. Again, I'm saying all this from a place of like, I'm not saying I've been perfect, and I've gotten frustrated with my kids too.
It's okay to be imperfect, I think is the point.
Right.
Like, it's okay not to be a homeschool teacher.
And I think you have to find what works for you. So like for some people, that schedule that they've had the first day, they may have kept up with it since the first day, and it has been the best thing that has happened to them. But for us, I knew that we needed to just like give it a minute in the beginning, because this was going to be a transition. We're going to be here for a while. Let's take the first few days, first week, whatever, and kind of see like, okay, let's try today if we have a snack at this time, and then we try to do some schoolwork at this time. How's that work? Coming from like my psychological training background in child psychology, knowing the work I've done in schools and with kids and schoolwork and all of that, it is never a healthy thing to have a kid sitting at a desk being forced to do like work for an extended period of time. Depending on their age, obviously the time would vary, but we think of like, oh, well, our kids are at school from 8 to 3. So they should be at home working from 8 to 3, but they are not doing academic work from 8 to 3 all day long. I mean, they have breaks for lunch, they have recess, and regardless, if you're taking 30 minutes out of the day and doing a worksheet or something else, and that's the best that you can do, then that's the best you can do. And you're the only one who can determine what works for you, what works for your family. If it's just not even working and it's a struggle and it's putting more pressure on your kids and they're getting more upset and they're actually starting to hate doing schoolwork even more,
go
because
build a fort.
Just don't even worry about it right now. Like, this is not the time. There's so much anxiety and stress for parents and kids.
I think that's the correlation, is how fast-paced the world is, or has been for so many years, and it's like go, go, go. And how many times have we heard Brooks and Gaines playing, role-playing, doing their, like, getting ready to go to school, and out here, again, the 3-year-old going, come on, Gaines, we're gonna be late, let's go, get your shoes on. Like mimicking us, essentially, because we don't want to be late. But it's kind of an interesting way it's all turned about, that we are here to slow down and be with each other right now. We have to be. Take your clothes off with each other.
I'm getting a
Don't
little fired
wear
up.
any pants with each other. And just slow down the fast-paced world, because it's like you don't realize how fast you were really going until you take the time to slow down.
With the slowdown, you realize how much time was being filled with other stuff. I mean, even driving from activity to activity after school, driving to and from school and all that. Like, there's all that time that has to be filled at home. So the time that you're feeling like, oh my gosh, like it's terrible, my kids haven't done anything, keep in mind, no matter, my nose itches so much. I have allergies and we have pollen out the wazoo. Keep in mind that they learn so much just from doing things. There have been several times that I've wanted to be like, I mean, I'm not even trying to teach these kids and they're bringing it on themselves. Like,
their imaginations have bloomed in the past week.
It's like they know they want to learn stuff, and so they'll all of a sudden be like, Gaines came downstairs
I was just
the other
about to
morning,
give that example.
and she was like, Mommy, I just measured both of my stuffed animals, and she had a little Lego tower, and she was like, this one is 5 Legos tall and this one is 12
No,
Legos.
she said inches.
And she said inches.
She
yeah.
said 25
She said-
inches and this one's 5 inches.
Yeah, and I was like wait,
whoa.
I was still asleep in the bed. And I was like, where'd you find a ruler? And she was like, I didn't, I got these Legos. And I was like, they're gonna find ways to learn. And I'm sorry if you're a teacher and you're listening to this and you're telling me that I'm gonna ruin the whole world. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And I feel like, I don't know.
That same day I took her up to a nap later in the day, and she said, Daddy, do you know what 25 plus 5 is? And I'd played dumb, and I was like, well, no. And she put both sets of Legos together and then just counted them all up, and she was like, it's 30. I was like, oh, how'd you know that? She was like, because I took this size of the ruler, and I was like, she's like doing math,
right? Like
learning it just with Legos, playing with them in her room.
So just because you're not sitting down and having like an hour-long lesson, I mean, if your kids are 5 and 3, like a worksheet should maybe be 10 minutes, and I don't think that it's even close to worth the stress of like trying to force them to do work for an hour. Would be just way too much, in my opinion, for a parent who's never taught your kid.
You can't have an attention span.
That just is not gonna, it's just not gonna happen. Yeah. So I mean, if you feel really strongly about it, then find other ways to teach your kids stuff. But if not, then just find what works for you, and that may be something different every day too. Like even today, our kids were playing, and I was like, I feel like they're just really needing to just kind of be with us for a minute. Like
fill that love bucket. Fill
their little bucket of love and quality time and physical touch and hugs and whatever. And so we have, which I did a brand thing, this is not sponsored right now, but I did a brand deal with Homer, the Homer app. If you've never used it, it really is an amazing app. Nice. But I really love the app. And so we were like, since it is a school day, we're not gonna just watch the iPad all day, but you can play your educational game. And so we sat there with them, which typically will give them that and be like, okay, you work on this while we go do this. But I was like, let's just stop for a minute. Work is important, but they just needed us for a minute. Yeah. And so we sat with them and chilled with them.
Brooks would draw his tea and then look up at us and just get that validation.
Kind of going back to the beginning, even for the average, like probably the person that lives next door to you, could be that their kids are living in like incredible turmoil right now. That doesn't mean everybody's getting beaten and horribly abused, but emotional abuse is a very huge thing. Shaming and
it could be as simple as doing that thing of just giving them the iPad and telling them to go into their room for 2 hours, as opposed to like sitting there being with them for a few minutes.
Because they have no way how to like regulate themselves. And I know it feels important. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are probably gonna say too, like, well, I have to work for my job, I have to do this. And I think finding a balance of that is important too, because I do realize like we have to work too. We're doing this right now because we have to work. And I can promise you too that there have been days when I'm like, they finally are about to go have rest time or nap time or whatever. And I'm like, I gotta take a nap. Like I can't even. But I just think it's important to find what works for you. Stop judging other people when they're posting that they're not doing a school today or they are doing school or whatever else. I'm not judging anybody for any decisions you make. Nobody gets to have an opinion on the way that you handle your situation unless somebody's being hurt and abused. It was just really eye-opening to think about how much pressure and stress that parents are feeling to do it all right now and do their work from home and do all the kids' schoolwork, and how much extra trauma that is gonna cause. It's not worth that.
And we're all like this, it's like we're trapped in ourselves and in our houses right now. And like, so like if you were being physically abused or emotionally and mentally, like we've had many years of working together from home, kind of figuring each other out, and these other families are just getting forced to not have an outlet. So you're trapped in this situation to where you can't go to take your kid to gymnastics or baseball practice or whatever for an hour just to like cool down.
We were saying last night too, had this situation happened to us 2 years ago, it would have been like, I don't know. I just don't know what would have happened, because I don't know how we survived without being able to escape from each other, because we were both in a very terrible, emotionally abusive cycle, both of us. We were both doing this stuff to each other. Something that happens so much that you may not even realize it. You may not even realize that that's what's happening, and that's how you're you know, treating the things that you're doing or saying, or your passive aggressive remarks or whatever are hurting your kids or your spouse. I don't know. I don't even know what would have happened, because there were days, even because we worked from home together and our kids were home a lot of days, and I wasn't even present for my kids mentally, like totally checked out and spaced out. And we're to the point my kids would be like, Mommy, what are we doing? I'm like, I don't know. I actually don't know what's going on right now. To those of y'all who may be in this situation, I would say that, first of all, our thoughts and our prayers, like genuine prayers for the people in those situations. Also, there are resources that you can use. There's like
Facebook groups.
There's Facebook groups, there's connections you can make, but there's also like the suicide or mental health line that is not just a phone call anymore. You can text somebody and get help at any time. I know I've said this before, but I'm gonna say it again because I feel like it's incredibly important. Like, reach out to somebody, and that doesn't always necessarily mean a friend or a family member, because sometimes that may not even be the best idea.
9 out of 10, it's probably not. I mean, maybe. It depends.
It depends on your situation.
But if you get a third party's perspective or words, or
like a third party who doesn't know anybody,
who's not emotionally
emotionally attached to anybody or anything,
you'll hear it completely differently. Anyway, this is a PSA to let you know that it's okay to not be okay or not be perfect, and not have a schedule right now. Just go with
take your time and find what works, though. I mean, I think too, you don't want to just sit around and be like, whatever, we don't need to have a schedule, so we're just gonna watch TV all day. But again, you know, if that's what works for you, then you do try to find some time to like get outside and do something productive. But if you're not, then okay, you know, tomorrow's a new day. If it didn't work today and you ended the day feeling like crap, try something different tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
We got time.
This has never happened to anybody in the world before. This whole world lockdown, and we're prepared to shoot a meteor coming towards the earth and blow it to smithereens, but we're unprepared for this microscopic virus that's taking everybody out worldwide. And so it's just new to everybody, and we're all just trying to figure it out day by day. That's crazy to think about.
There's so much that we have no idea what's going to happen right now.
No, there's no telling what's going to be.
Knows.
The next month is going to be insane. So y'all keep your headphones in and your hands washed, and we'll be here.
Stop listening to the people on the internet that are judging your decisions. You are the only one who gets an opinion on what goes on in your house, unless you're hurting somebody, and then you need to get that under control.
And it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Thanks for watching. We might jump on live on Instagram or something later this week, or later this evening, or
let us know like what we can do to help this whole thing go better for you. You know, if it's certain types of content, live, whatever, help people feel connected. Just let us know what's helpful. And
leave a comment and let us know how you're surviving. What's some fun? We're always up for arts and crafts or projects or fun DIYs or fun ideas, like the neighborhood stuff that's been going around and that kind of stuff. Where you putting Christmas out and Halloween. I need to get the Christmas lights up. I know. And we talk a big game, but I hope we survive this. Like we talk a big game. Watch next week. One of us is gonna like knock somebody up the side of the head. We're gonna try not to though. We're gonna be here without any clothes on for real. Thank you all for watching. See you later. Bye.